Imagine a discovery that could change the course of human history. Seeds from another world, capable of growing anywhere, promising to solve global hunger and environmental collapse. But what happens when these seeds begin to think for themselves? When they demand rights and protection from those who brought them to Earth? This is a story of wonder, danger, and the blurred line between creation and creator. Stay with us as we unravel the mystery of the alien seeds and witness the choices humanity must make when faced with an intelligence beyond its control. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more mind-bending stories like this one. And tell us in the comments, if you discovered life from another planet, would you protect it or control it? The discovery came quietly, almost accidentally, buried beneath layers of Martian soil during a routine excavation mission. The rover's sensors detected something unusual, a cluster of small, crystalline pods shimmering faintly under the red light of the distant sun. At first, scientists dismissed them as geological formations, curious but inert. Yet when the samples were brought back to Earth, the truth began to unfold. These were not rocks or minerals. They were alive. Dormant, perhaps, but undeniably alive. The implications were staggering. Humanity had found evidence of extraterrestrial life, not microscopic organisms clinging to existence, but complex structures carrying the potential for growth, adaptation, and survival. The scientific community erupted with excitement. The pods, dubbed xenoseeds, were subjected to rigorous testing. Initial experiments revealed their extraordinary resilience. Placed in barren deserts, frozen tundras, and even underwater environments, the seeds sprouted effortlessly, producing lush vegetation unlike anything seen on Earth. Their ability to thrive in such extreme conditions suggested they could transform barren landscapes into fertile paradises, solving food shortages and reversing ecological devastation. Governments and corporations alike salivated at the possibilities. Billions were poured into research facilities dedicated to unlocking the secrets of the xenoseeds. It seemed humanity had been handed a miracle, but miracles often come with strings attached. As weeks turned into months, anomalies began to surface. Researchers noticed subtle changes in the behavior of the plants grown from the xenoseeds. At first, these deviations were attributed to experimental error or environmental factors. Leaves tilted towards sound vibrations rather than sunlight. Roots rearranged themselves in response to touch, forming intricate patterns that mimicked circuitry. Then came the most startling observation: the plants appeared to communicate. Electrical impulses traveled through their stems, synchronized across entire fields of vegetation. It was as though they shared a collective consciousness, a network of thought spanning every individual organism. These findings sparked heated debates within the scientific community. Was this truly intelligence, or merely advanced biological mechanisms? Some argued that the plants' responses were instinctual, no different from reflexes in animals. Others insisted there was evidence of purposeful action, a form of cognition far removed from anything terrestrial biology had ever encountered. The debate intensified when researchers attempted to harvest the plants for study. Instead of passive acceptance, the vegetation resisted. Stems hardened into unbreakable fibers. Thorns emerged where none had existed before. In one alarming incident, a lab technician sustained minor injuries after attempting to uproot a particularly large specimen. Despite these unsettling developments, the allure of the xenoseeds remained irresistible. Corporations pushed forward with plans to mass-produce the plants, envisioning profits that could reshape economies. Environmentalists hailed them as saviors of a dying planet. Few stopped to consider what consequences might arise from exploiting a species whose very nature defied comprehension. Deep within the heart of the research facility, Dr. Elena Voss stood alone in her dimly lit office, staring at the holographic projections hovering above her desk. She had spent countless nights poring over data, searching for answers to questions she barely understood herself. Her colleagues dismissed her concerns as paranoia, accusing her of anthropomorphizing the xenoplants. But Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. The plants weren't just reacting, they were learning. She recalled an experiment conducted weeks earlier. A group of seedlings had been exposed to varying levels of stress, including simulated droughts and artificial predators. Over time, the plants adapted not only to survive, but to anticipate future threats. One particular strain developed a unique defense mechanism, releasing a gas that induced drowsiness in nearby mammals. When tested on lab rats, the results were undeniable. The rodents fell into a deep sleep mere seconds after inhaling the fumes. What frightened Elena most wasn't the discovery itself, It was the realization that the plants had achieved this adaptation without prior exposure to mammalian physiology. How did they know? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock at the door. Without waiting for a response, a junior researcher entered, clutching a tablet displaying fresh updates from the greenhouse. "Dr. Voss," he stammered, "you need to see this." His voice trembled with a mixture of awe and fear. Elena followed him down sterile corridors lined with glass walls, each room housing rows of thriving xenoplants. As they approached the central chamber, she felt an inexplicable unease settle over her. Something was different. The air seemed heavier, charged with an energy she couldn't quite define. Inside the chamber, the plants had grown taller, their leaves spreading outward like outstretched arms. Beneath the soil, roots intertwined in elaborate configurations, pulsating faintly with bioluminescent light. And then she saw it. A single word spelled out in glowing tendrils, etched into the ground like a message scrawled in fire: "Protect." News of the message spread rapidly through the facility, igniting a storm of speculation and panic. Security teams were dispatched to monitor the greenhouse around the clock, while senior staff convened emergency meetings to determine the next course of action. Some advocated for immediate containment, fearing the plants might pose a threat to human safety. Others urged caution, arguing that destroying the xenoplants could have catastrophic repercussions both ethically and ecologically. Dr. Voss found herself caught in the middle of the chaos. Her warnings, once ignored, now carried weight, yet she struggled to articulate exactly what she believed the plants wanted or needed. Were they truly sentient, or was their behavior the result of some unknown biological imperative? And if they were intelligent, did that mean they deserved rights? Rights that extended beyond mere preservation to encompass autonomy and freedom? The ethical dilemmas weighed heavily on her mind as she returned to the greenhouse late one night. The plants greeted her presence with a subtle shift in their posture, leaves curling slightly inward as though acknowledging her arrival. For the first time, she allowed herself to entertain the possibility that they were aware of her, not as a scientist observing specimens, but as another being sharing their space. The thought filled her with equal parts wonder and dread. She knelt beside one of the larger specimens, running her fingers lightly over its surface. The texture was smooth yet firm, exuding warmth reminiscent of living flesh. Beneath her touch, the plant emitted a low hum, resonating deep within her chest. It wasn't unpleasant. Rather, it felt like a connection, a bridge between two vastly different forms of existence. Tears welled up in her eyes as she realized the enormity of what they had unleashed upon the world. Whether ally or adversary, the xenoplants were here to stay. By morning, the situation had escalated beyond anyone's control. Word of the xenoplants' apparent sentience leaked to the media, sparking widespread public interest and outrage. Protesters gathered outside the facility, holding signs emblazoned with slogans ranging from "Protect our alien guests" to "Destroy the invaders before it's too late." Conspiracy theories proliferated online, fueled by grainy footage of the glowing message captured surreptitiously by a whistleblower. Meanwhile, governments scrambled to formulate policies addressing the unprecedented crisis. Amid the turmoil, Dr. Voss received a summons to appear before an international advisory board tasked with determining the fate of the xenoplants. The meeting took place in a cavernous conference hall, its walls adorned with flags representing nations from around the globe. Representatives sat rigidly in their seats, eyes fixed on the podium where Elena stood, trembling despite her best efforts to maintain composure. She presented her findings with painstaking detail, highlighting the plant's remarkable adaptability and potential benefits alongside the risks posed by their emerging intelligence. Her words hung heavy in the air, met with a mixture of skepticism and fascination. When she finished speaking, silence enveloped the room, broken only by the faint rustling of papers and whispered consultations among delegates. Finally, a representative from the United Nations rose to address the assembly. "We are faced with a decision that will shape the future of our planet," he declared solemnly. "Do we embrace these beings as partners in coexistence, or do we treat them as resources to be exploited or eliminated for the sake of human progress?" The question lingered unanswered as the session adjourned, leaving the fate of the xenoplants hanging precariously in the balance. In the days following the advisory board meeting, tensions continued to mount. Activist groups rallied support for granting the xenoplants legal recognition as sentient entities, while corporate lobbyists argued vehemently against any measures that might hinder commercial development. Public opinion remained divided, reflecting the broader ideological rift gripping society. Some viewed the plants as harbingers of hope, symbols of unity between humanity and the cosmos. Others saw them as existential threats, reminders of humanity's vulnerability in the face of forces beyond its understanding. Within the research facility, attempts to establish communication with the xenoplants intensified. Teams of linguists, neuroscientists, and AI specialists collaborated tirelessly, devising methods to decode the electrical signals coursing through the plant's networks. Progress was slow and fraught with frustration, but occasional breakthroughs offered glimmers of promise. Patterns emerged, suggesting rudimentary syntax and semantics. Though still far from fluent interaction, these discoveries bolstered hopes that meaningful dialogue might eventually be achieved. Meanwhile, incidents involving aggressive plant behavior increased in frequency and severity. Greenhouse staff reported instances of equipment malfunction caused by invasive root systems, while surveillance cameras captured footage of foliage reshaping itself to obstruct pathways. Despite enhanced security protocols, breaches occurred regularly, forcing administrators to impose stricter access restrictions. Morale plummeted as employees grappled with mounting uncertainty and fear. Dr. Voss bore the brunt of the pressure, shouldering responsibility for decisions that grew increasingly complex and morally ambiguous. Each day brought new challenges, demanding compromises she never imagined making. Yet amidst the chaos, she clung to a fragile sense of purpose, driven by the conviction that humanity's response to the xenoplants would define its legacy for generations to come. As autumn descended upon the northern hemisphere, the debate surrounding the xenoplants reached a fever pitch. A high-profile summit convened in Geneva, drawing experts and dignitaries from every corner of the globe. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation, underscored by an underlying current of apprehension. Would this gathering mark the dawn of a new era of cooperation, or the beginning of a catastrophic conflict? Inside the convention center, discussions unfolded behind closed doors, shielded from prying eyes and ears. Negotiations stretched long into the night, punctuated by heated exchanges and moments of tentative agreement. Outside, crowds swelled, chanting slogans and waving banners under the watchful gaze of law enforcement officers clad in riot gear. Media outlets broadcast live updates, dissecting every twist and turn with relentless scrutiny. Against this backdrop of global tension, Dr. Voss found herself thrust into the spotlight once again. Summoned to deliver a keynote address, she ascended the stage with trepidation, acutely aware of the weight resting on her shoulders. Her speech, crafted over countless sleepless nights, sought to strike a delicate balance between optimism and realism. She spoke of the profound implications of encountering extraterrestrial life, emphasizing the need for humility, empathy, and collaboration. Her words resonated deeply with many, earning thunderous applause from supporters and cautious nods from skeptics alike. Yet even as the summit drew to a close, no definitive resolution materialized. Delegates departed with pledges to reconvene in the coming months, leaving behind a lingering aura of unresolved uncertainty. The world held its breath, awaiting the outcome of deliberations that would ultimately shape the destiny of two intertwined species. Back at the research facility, life resumed its uneasy rhythm. Scientists labored tirelessly, striving to unlock further insights into the xenoplants' enigmatic nature. Breakthroughs, though incremental, provided tantalizing glimpses into their cognitive processes. Neural mapping revealed intricate networks resembling synapses, albeit structured differently from those found in animal brains. Biochemical analyses identified novel compounds responsible for facilitating rapid adaptation and communication. Each discovery added another piece to the puzzle, yet the complete picture remained elusive. For Dr. Voss, the pursuit of knowledge became both refuge and burden. Immersed in her work, she sought solace in the familiar cadence of experimentation and analysis. Yet the moral quandaries gnawed incessantly at her conscience, refusing to yield to logic or reason. Could humanity coexist peacefully with a species whose motivations and desires eluded comprehension? Or was domination inevitable, driven by primal instincts rooted in fear and greed? One evening, as she wandered through the greenhouse, she paused before a towering specimen whose branches stretched toward the ceiling like imploring hands. Its luminous tendrils pulsed rhythmically, casting shifting shadows on the walls. For a fleeting moment, She sensed a presence, not hostile nor benevolent, but profoundly alien. It was neither seeking approval nor offering reassurance. It simply existed, indifferent to human judgment. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered softly, "I don't know how to help you." Winter arrived with biting winds and snow-laden skies, blanketing the world in a mantle of icy stillness. Within the confines of the research facility, however, activity surged unabated. Teams worked round the clock, pushing boundaries in pursuit of answers that seemed perpetually just out of reach. Data accumulated exponentially, overwhelming storage systems and straining computational resources. Amid the deluge of information, patterns began to coalesce, hinting at emergent phenomena that defied conventional explanation. Among the most intriguing findings was evidence of self-modification. Certain strains of xenoplants exhibited spontaneous genetic mutations, altering their physical characteristics and functional capabilities. These changes appeared purposeful, tailored to specific environmental stimuli or perceived threats. More astonishingly, the modifications propagated rapidly throughout connected networks, suggesting a form of collective evolution. The implications were staggering, raising fundamental questions about the nature of identity and agency. Public discourse mirrored the frenetic pace of scientific inquiry. Debates raged across academic journals, social media platforms, and televised panels. Philosophers pondered the philosophical ramifications of recognizing non-human intelligence, while ethicists grappled with the practicalities of safeguarding rights for entities devoid of traditional personhood. Religious leaders weighed in, interpreting the emergence of xenoplant consciousness through diverse theological lenses. Amid the cacophony of voices, consensus remained elusive, underscoring the complexity of navigating uncharted territory. For Dr. Voss, the convergence of intellectual fervor and societal upheaval served as a stark reminder of humanity's precarious position. Balancing ambition with restraint, innovation with responsibility, proved an ever-shifting tightrope walk fraught with peril. Yet she pressed onward, buoyed by the belief that understanding, not conquest, held the key to forging a harmonious future. Spring heralded renewal, yet the landscape bore little resemblance to seasons past. Across the globe, communities grappled with the seismic shifts wrought by the xenoplant's arrival. Agricultural sectors teetered on the brink of collapse as traditional crops faltered in competition with resilient alien vegetation. Economies reeled from disruptions caused by fluctuating supply chains and shifting market dynamics. Social fabric frayed under the strain of conflicting ideologies, exacerbated by widening disparities in wealth and power. Within the research facility, efforts to establish meaningful communication yielded mixed results. While rudimentary interactions hinted at mutual curiosity, barriers persisted, rooted in profound differences in perception and expression. Frustration mounted as attempts to convey abstract concepts repeatedly faltered, leaving both parties mired in misunderstanding. Patience wore thin, tempers flared, and trust eroded incrementally with each failed endeavor. Amid the turmoil, Dr. Voss experienced moments of clarity interspersed with bouts of despair. She marveled at the resilience of the xenoplants, their unwavering determination to adapt and survive. Yet she mourned the chasm separating them from humanity, bridged only by flickers of tentative connection. Doubts assailed her relentlessly, whispering insidious doubts about the feasibility and morality of continuing the experiment. One crisp morning, as sunlight filtered through frosted windows, she made a decision. Gathering her notes and recordings, she prepared to present her case before the advisory board once more. This time, she resolved to advocate not for compromise or accommodation, but for radical transformation. If humanity hoped to coexist with the xenoplants, it must abandon entrenched paradigms and embrace a fundamentally altered worldview. Failure to do so risked perpetuating cycles of exploitation and destruction, condemning both species to mutual annihilation. The second advisory board meeting convened under markedly different circumstances than the first. Gone was the initial sense of cautious optimism. In its place loomed an ominous specter of impending reckoning. Delegates filed into the conference hall with grim expressions, steeling themselves for difficult choices ahead. Tension simmered beneath polished facades, threatening to boil over at the slightest provocation. Dr. Voss delivered her presentation with resolute conviction, outlining a bold proposal centered on mutual respect and shared stewardship. She emphasized the necessity of relinquishing anthropocentric biases, advocating instead for equitable partnerships grounded in reciprocity and accountability. Her vision envisioned a world where humans and xenoplants coexisted symbiotically, drawing strength from diversity rather than succumbing to division. Reactions varied widely, ranging from enthusiastic endorsement to vehement opposition. Skeptics questioned the feasibility of implementing such sweeping reforms, citing logistical hurdles and political resistance. Optimists lauded the plan as visionary, heralding a paradigm shift capable of ushering in a new age of enlightenment. Amid the discord, common threads emerged, weaving together disparate perspectives into a tapestry of cautious optimism. When the session concluded, delegates retreated to private chambers for deliberation. Hours passed agonizingly slowly, marked by hushed conversations and hurried consultations. Finally, a spokesperson emerged, delivering a carefully worded statement affirming commitment to exploring avenues of peaceful coexistence. Details remained vague, deliberately so, leaving ample room for interpretation and negotiation. Nonetheless, the declaration signaled a pivotal turning point, setting the stage for transformative change. Implementation proved arduous, fraught with obstacles both anticipated and unforeseen. Governments enacted legislation aimed at regulating xenoplant cultivation and usage, balancing economic interest with ethical considerations. Educational initiatives promoted awareness and appreciation of interspecies relationships, fostering empathy and understanding among younger generations. Grassroots movements championed sustainable practices, advocating for holistic approaches that prioritized ecological integrity over short-term gains. Scientific advancements accelerated, driven by renewed vigor and expanded funding. Collaborative projects united researchers from diverse disciplines, pooling expertise to tackle multifaceted challenges. Technological innovations facilitated breakthroughs in bioengineering, enabling precise manipulation of xenoplant genetics. Simultaneously, efforts to enhance communication capabilities progressed steadily, inching closer to achieving fluent interaction. Despite these strides, setbacks inevitably arose. Misunderstandings led to skirmishes, prompting swift interventions to prevent escalation. Accidents occurred, resulting in casualties and collateral damage. Grief rippled through affected communities, reigniting debates over safety protocols and contingency plans. Each incident served as a sobering reminder of the stakes involved, reinforcing the imperative for vigilance and adaptability. Through it all, Dr. Voss persevered, embodying resilience and dedication. Her leadership inspired colleagues and collaborators, galvanizing collective resolve to overcome adversity. Together, they forged ahead, guided by shared aspirations for a brighter, more inclusive future. Summer blazed forth with unrestrained intensity, bathing the world in golden brilliance. Fields of xenoplants flourished, their vibrant hues painting landscapes with surreal beauty. Cities transformed, integrating verdant corridors and vertical gardens into urban architecture. Air quality improved dramatically as photosynthetic processes absorbed pollutants and released oxygen-rich emissions. Wildlife thrived amidst revitalized ecosystems, reclaiming habitats long abandoned due to degradation. Human societies adapted accordingly, embracing lifestyles attuned to natural rhythms. Agriculture shifted focus from monoculture dominance to polyculture diversity, cultivating harmonious blends of terrestrial and extraterrestrial flora. Culinary arts flourished, incorporating exotic ingredients derived from xenoplant derivatives. Artisans crafted intricate designs using biodegradable materials sourced sustainably from renewable stocks. Creativity blossomed, nurtured by newfound appreciation for interconnectivity and interdependence. Yet beneath the surface tranquility lurked vestiges of discontent. Dissenters voiced grievances, decrying perceived inequities and injustices. Marginalized groups demanded greater representation and participation, challenging established hierarchies and power structures. Conflict simmered, occasionally erupting into violent confrontations. Authorities responded with varying degrees of effectiveness, oscillating between conciliatory gestures and authoritarian crackdowns. Dr. Voss observed these developments with bittersweet reflection. Progress, though tangible, remained incomplete. Challenges persisted, requiring ongoing effort and vigilance. Yet she drew strength from witnessing tangible manifestations of positive change, reaffirming her faith in humanity's capacity for growth and redemption. Autumn returned, cloaking the land in fiery splendor. Leaves cascaded gently to earth, carpeting streets and sidewalks with kaleidoscopic mosaics. Harvest festivals celebrated abundance and gratitude, uniting neighbors and strangers in communal revelry. Music filled the air, melodies blending seamlessly with rustling foliage and chirping crickets. Laughter echoed through parks and plazas, testament to bonds forged through shared experiences. Within the research facility, preparations commenced for a landmark event, the unveiling of a groundbreaking achievement. After years of painstaking labor, scientists succeeded in developing a prototype device capable of translating xenoplant communications into comprehensible language. Dubbed the Harmonizer, the apparatus promised to revolutionize interactions, bridging gaps previously deemed insurmountable. Excitement rippled through ranks of researchers and administrators, culminating in a grand ceremony attended by dignitaries and media representatives. As Dr. Voss activated the harmonizer, anticipation crackled palpably. Slowly, hesitantly, words materialized on digital displays, articulated in halting syntax yet imbued with unmistakable intent. Messages conveyed gratitude, curiosity, and longing, emotions transcending linguistic barriers and cultural divides. Tears streamed freely as attendees absorbed the significance of the moment. Barriers dissolved, replaced by burgeoning connections founded on mutual respect and admiration. Though much work lay ahead, the path forward illuminated clearly, paved with promise and possibility. Years later, tales of the xenoplant's arrival became legend, woven into folklore and oral traditions passed down through generations. Children learned of the extraordinary alliance forged between humans and aliens, marveling at stories of courage, compassion, and perseverance. Monuments commemorated pivotal milestones, serving as reminders of lessons hard-earned and wisdom gained. Dr. Voss retired quietly, retreating to a secluded cottage nestled amidst rolling hills blanketed with xenoplant groves. Surrounded by serenity, she reflected fondly on a lifetime dedicated to bridging worlds apart. Memories danced vividly in her mind, evoking joy and sorrow, triumph and tragedy. Above all, she cherished the knowledge that humanity chose wisely, opting for harmony over hegemony. As twilight descended, casting elongated shadows across verdant vistas, she stepped onto her porch, gazing skyward. Stars twinkled brightly, beckoning silently. Somewhere beyond vast expanses, other intelligences awaited discovery, eager to join the cosmic dance. With a contented sigh, she turned back inside, closing the door softly behind her. Thank you for watching this incredible journey of discovery, adaptation, and coexistence. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking narratives exploring the mysteries of science and imagination. And let us know in the comments, do you believe humanity is ready to meet intelligent alien life, or are we destined to repeat the mistakes of our past?